A Bit of Perryville History. Take a good look at this photograph taken in 1885. The building on the corner, which today houses a sports locker, and earlier, after World War II, it was Reuter's Jewelry, was Anderson's and Huth's store. Look at the street in front of the store. It's dirt and maybe graveled. It's hard to tell the difference. The building at the extreme left was our first firehouse. Now look at the street side of the building, and at a distance you can see St. Boniface with a white fence to keep cows and pigs out of the churchyard. Notice there is very little in between the buildings on the square and the church. This bit of history is about Mcbride's Hill in Perryville, and we will be seeing most of this taken from a drone. The streets are neat and clean. Try to imagine them as dirt. As we fly over Jackson Street going north, we can see the intersection of Jackson and North Streets. The corner where the police garage is today was once owned by John C. Mcbride. The two lots where the Faith Presbyterian Church is now, and which was once occupied by the Kiefer Lumber Company, and the land that covers those lots in West to West Street were also owned by John C. Mcbride. Somewhere in Jackson Street, between the lots owned by John Mcbride, was a hill. It was a hill that kept anyone standing on the corner of the square by the firehouse from seeing the new train tracks, the depots in the train. Our train ran from the river through Lithium into Perryville. But if that had been the only way it ran, there wouldn't have been much to bring into Perryville. So it had to connect somehow with St. Louis, and it did by floating a train across to Illinois, to Chester, where they had a railroad that ran to Illinois, to St. Louis. So this picture shows that. It's most unusual to us, but they used it for quite some time. The Perry County Sun in May 1895 said, "The cut in grading the street between here and the depot had greatly improved the appearance. One can now stand at the corner of the square and see the depot and other surroundings, while before the view was cut off by the hill." And in September, the paper said, "The street leading from the northwest corner of the square to the depot is about completed. Street Inspector Grillion and city fathers are entitled to credit. In grading the street, he hauled off 2,522 wagon loads of dirt. He put on the streets 1,382 loads of rock, which includes the guttering, and as a top dressing, he put 243 loads of saline gravel at 3-4 yards per load. And Mcbride's Hill in Perryville disappeared." People could stand on the corner of the square and see the depot, which was brand new and was on the edge beside what is now Grand Street. There was no street there at that time. The tracks ran on the northernmost lots of the northern edge of Perryville and followed what is Old St. Mary's Road. This house is exactly where Farm Fresh is today. This is the Red family who live there, and the train is curving from Old St. Mary's Road on the Grand. This photograph shows the train rounding the curve from Old St. Mary's Road to the depot. The railroad that Perryville had been so thrilled to get did much for the growth of Perryville. But as the paper had described the new railroad as a real puffing, steaming, screeching, howling railroad, a veritable thing of life, a thing of beauty and a joy forever, changed their mind about some of that statement when another railroad was coming through Bealey and had planned to come into the town of Perryville. It met with a lot of opposition, maybe too much screeching. Plus, the railroad was not a joy for everything. It was bankrupt by 1917. The Frisco Railroad, running at the bottom of another Mcbride's Hill, was a much stronger and longer railroad. There was one other form of transportation that was soon to arrive. In 1903, Lewis Houck, who was the owner of our original railroad, rode in his automobile from Cape, the first car to come to Perryville. It took him 4 hours to drive from Cape to Perryville. This is not a picture of Mr. Houck's car, but it is supposed to be the picture of the first car owned by anyone in Perryville. Thanks for watching the video. All photos are from the Perry County Historical Society. All other footage was captured and compiled by David Thomas.